She wrote a children's book about grief, about losing a parent too soon. She read it to school kids. She gave interviews. She played the devoted mother, the heartbroken widow, all while knowing exactly why her husband was dead, because she killed him. Pause. And for a while, she almost got away with it. Welcome back to Last Witness. If you've been here before, you already know her name. If this is your first time, buckle in, because Kouri Richins is one of the most calculated killers we've ever covered. And today we have updates. Big ones. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We don't sugarcoat this stuff. Let's go back to the beginning. Kouri Richins is a 29-year-old real estate agent living in Utah. On the surface, she looks like she has it all. A house in the suburbs, a successful husband, 3 kids, and a career flipping properties. But underneath that surface, a financial disaster quietly building pressure. Her house-flipping business is failing. She's drowning in debt, millions of dollars in debt, and her husband Eric has no idea. Why? Because Eric, a successful stone masonry business owner, wisely kept his finances separate from hers. He'd seen enough to know his wife had a dangerous relationship with money. So Kouri does what she always does when she needs money. She takes it. She forges Eric's signature and pulls a $250,000 equity loan on the family home. A home she doesn't even own. It's solely in Eric's name. Then she goes further. She starts draining his business and personal accounts. She racks up charges on his credit cards. Over 5 to 6 years, she steals approximately $500,000 from a man she married. And then, in 2020, she starts an affair with one of the handymen she works with. It all starts unraveling in 2020. Eric discovers she's been stealing from him, and he is furious. He confronts her. She apologizes. She promises to pay it back. But something fundamental breaks between them that day. His trust in her is gone. He calls a divorce attorney. Except he doesn't follow through. They stay together, possibly for the kids. But Eric isn't naive anymore. Quietly, he does something important. He visits another attorney and has Kouri removed as the beneficiary of his estate. He creates a trust. He puts his sister in charge of it. He tells Kouri nothing. Now we fast forward to 2021. Kouri is still hemorrhaging money. Her house-flipping venture has put her millions of dollars in the hole. And her feelings for the man she's been cheating with have deepened. She's thinking about a future with him. But there's a problem. A legal one. Before they got married, Kouri and Eric signed a prenuptial agreement. If she divorces him, she walks away with essentially nothing. No share of his business, no significant assets. But if Eric dies while they're still married, she inherits his business, his estate, his properties. That's when she starts thinking about murder. By 2022, Kouri has a plan. Before she does anything, she tries to change the life insurance policy through Eric's business to increase her payout. The insurance company catches it. The change is reversed. She doesn't stop. She quietly takes out multiple new life insurance policies on Eric, totaling around $2 million. Then she needs a weapon. She reaches out to her housekeeper. We'll just call her housekeeper. Kouri tells her a story. One of her investors has severe back pain, needs something strong, specifically fentanyl. Housekeeper believes her. She contacts a supplier and hands Kouri the pills. 3 days later, it's Valentine's Day. Kouri makes Eric a sandwich, and she laces it with the fentanyl. Eric takes a bite. Almost immediately, he can't breathe. Hives break out across his skin. He grabs one of his son's EpiPens, injects himself, drinks Benadryl, eventually loses consciousness. He survives. But now Eric is on high alert. He's been robbed by this woman. Now, he may have been poisoned by her. He goes to his close circle, friends, family, and he tells them, if anything ever happens to me, it's Kouri. He says it plainly. He says it more than once. Kouri isn't deterred. She goes back to housekeeper. She asks for something stronger. Housekeeper delivers. Now, Kouri waits for the right moment. One night, she and Eric are at home, apparently celebrating a business win for Kouri. She finally flipped a property. Honey, she says, let's have a drink. She mixes him a Moscow Mule, and into that drink, she puts 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl. Eric drinks it. He doesn't know. Sometime between that night, and the next morning, Eric Richins dies. He is 39 years old. Kouri calls 911. She's crying. She's distraught. She tells him she found him unresponsive. Medical examiners perform an autopsy. They confirm a fentanyl overdose. And in the absence of anything pointing otherwise, no clear crime scene, no obvious signs of foul play, investigators initially close the case. Accidental drug overdose. A tragic, but not uncommon story in American households. Kouri's plan has, by all appearances, worked. She begins collecting on the life insurance. She reportedly receives $1.3 million. Here's where it gets truly remarkable. In the months following Eric's death, Kouri does something that, at the time, seemed like grief. She writes a children's book, a book about a family dealing with the sudden death of a father. She calls it Are You There? She appears on the news. She presents herself as a mother trying to help her children process loss. But behind the scenes, law enforcement hasn't fully moved on. Eric's family, particularly his sister, the one he put in charge of his trust, is relentless. They push investigators to keep looking. They remind them what Eric said. If anything happens to me, it's Kouri. The words of a dead man, carried forward by people who loved him. Investigators reopen the case. They start pulling threads. The failed insurance change, the multiple new policies, the financial crimes, the forged loan, the drained accounts. The Valentine's Day incident that Eric's inner circle now describes as a possible poisoning attempt. The housekeeper, the fentanyl, everything Kouri had done, she had done with a certain confidence. The confidence of someone who believed she was smarter than everyone around her. She wasn't. In May 2023, Kouri Richins is arrested and charged with aggravated murder and drug distribution. The state of Utah means business. Aggravated murder here can carry the death penalty. Now here's the twist that no one saw coming, not even her attorney. After her arrest, Kouri does a media interview in which she promotes the children's book. She reads from it. She's articulate, composed, presented as a grieving mother-turned-author. And prosecutors take note. They argue the book itself, written by the woman who killed the father mourns, is part of the pattern, a calculated image management campaign, an attempt to shape public narrative before the truth came out. Think about that for a second. She killed her husband. Then she wrote a book for children about losing their father. Then she used that book to perform grief on national television. Her defense team fights back. They argue that using the children's book as evidence violates her First Amendment rights, that an author can't be prosecuted based on what she writes. It's a genuinely interesting constitutional argument, and it goes all the way up through the court system. But here's what the courts ultimately determine. The book isn't being used to punish her for writing. It's being used to show a pattern of behavior, the ongoing deception, the performance of innocence, the manipulation of public perception. The argument fails. The book stays in evidence. After extensive pretrial proceedings, Kouri Richins goes to trial. The evidence is overwhelming. The financial crimes, the housekeeper testimony, the insurance policies, the first poisoning attempt that Eric survived long enough to warn people about, and of course, the 5 times lethal dose of fentanyl in a Moscow Mule on a night she called a celebration. Kouri Richins is convicted. She is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And in a final cruel irony, the trust that Eric quietly set up, removing her as beneficiary, means she gets nothing. The estate, the business, the properties, none of it goes to her. Eric made sure of that from beyond the grave, months before she killed him. But here's what I keep coming back to. Eric knew. He told people. He went to an attorney. He changed his estate. He survived one poisoning attempt. He had every reason to leave, and for reasons we'll never fully understand, maybe love, maybe the kids, maybe sheer disbelief that it could really come to this, he stayed. He trusted the wrong person with his life, and it cost him everything. Kouri Richins is in prison now, but no verdict brings Eric back. No sentence unpoisons a Moscow Mule on what should have been an ordinary Tuesday night. Eric's 3 children are growing up without their father. His sister, who he trusted enough to put in charge of everything. She fought for him when he couldn't fight for himself. That matters. If this case hit you the way it hit me, share it. Let people know what happened here. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Last Witness. Every case we cover completely. Stay sharp, stay safe. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous person in your life is the one standing in your kitchen,